As a Christian, it is essential to approach the mainstream media with a critical eye, recognizing the potential biases and inaccuracies that can distort the truth. The Bible warns us to be discerning and not to blindly follow the crowd, but rather to seek wisdom and understanding from God's Word. In today's world, the mainstream media plays a significant role in shaping public opinion and influencing our perceptions of reality. However, as Christians, we must be cautious not to trust the mainstream media blindly for several reasons. Firstly, the mainstream media often promotes a secular worldview that is in direct opposition to Christian values. Many news outlets and media platforms are driven by a liberal or humanist agenda, which can lead to a biased representation of events and issues. This can result in a distorted view of reality, where Christian perspectives are marginalized or dismissed. For instance, the mainstream media often portrays Christianity as intolerant, bigoted, or outdated, while promoting alternative lifestyles and worldviews as progressive and enlightened. As Christians, we must be aware of this bias and not allow it to shape our understanding of the world. Secondly, the mainstream media often prioritizes sensationalism over truth. In order to attract viewers and increase ratings, media outlets often focus on scandalous or provocative stories, regardless of their accuracy or relevance. This can lead to a culture of fake news, where misinformation and disinformation are spread quickly and widely. As Christians, we are called to be truthful and honest, and we must be careful not to perpetuate falsehoods or misinformation. We must also be aware of the potential for media manipulation, where certain stories or issues are promoted or suppressed to serve a particular agenda. Thirdly, the mainstream media often fails to provide balanced and nuanced reporting. Many news outlets and media platforms are dominated by a particular ideology or perspective, which can lead to a lack of diversity and depth in their reporting. This can result in a narrow and simplistic view of complex issues, where Christian perspectives are either ignored or marginalized. As Christians, we must seek out diverse sources of information and engage with different viewpoints, in order to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the world. Fourthly, the mainstream media often promotes a culture of fear and anxiety. Many news outlets and media platforms thrive on creating a sense of crisis or urgency in order to attract viewers and increase ratings. This can lead to a culture of fear, where people are more focused on the latest scare or controversy, rather than seeking truth and wisdom. As Christians, we are called to be people of faith and hope, rather than fear and anxiety. We must be careful not to allow the mainstream media to shape our emotions and reactions, but rather to seek guidance and wisdom from God's Word. Finally, the mainstream media often fails to acknowledge the spiritual dimension of reality. As Christians, we recognize that there is a spiritual realm that underlies the physical world, and that God is actively at work in the world. However, the mainstream media often ignores or dismisses the spiritual dimension, focusing instead on material or worldly explanations for events and phenomena. This can lead to a narrow and superficial view of reality, where the deeper spiritual significance of events is overlooked or ignored. As Christians, we must be aware of this limitation and seek out sources of information that recognize the spiritual dimension of reality. In conclusion, as Christians, we must approach the mainstream media with a critical eye, recognizing the potential biases and limitations that can distort the truth. We must be discerning and not blindly follow the crowd, but rather seek wisdom and understanding from God's Word. By being aware of the secular worldview, sensationalism, lack of balance, culture of fear, and failure to acknowledge the spiritual dimension of reality, we can navigate the mainstream media with caution and discernment. Ultimately, as Christians, we must seek to be informed and engaged citizens, while also being grounded in the truth and wisdom of God's Word.